London, 1807. Miss Penelope Shaw had endured 3 years of pitying looks and whispered gossip after Lord Edmund Hartley jilted her for a wealthier bride. At every ball, every dinner party, every social gathering, Edmund made sure to ask with false concern, "Still single, Penelope? What a shame." Society watched, amused by her humiliation. Then Penelope appeared at the season's most anticipated ball, wearing an enormous sapphire engagement ring. Edmund's smile vanished when he learned the truth. She was engaged to the Duke of Ashford, the wealthiest, most elusive bachelor in England, the man who never courted, never danced, never married, until now. And everything Edmund thought he knew about Penelope Shaw was about to shatter completely. If stories like this move you, please subscribe to Velvet Tales. Every subscription helps us share more extraordinary tales of survival, second chances, and the unbreakable bonds between humans and animals. Your support means these incredible true stories reach hearts that need them most. Miss Penelope Shaw stood at the edge of the Duchess of Somerset's ballroom, watching Edmund Hartley dance with his wealthy wife. 3 years. 3 years since Edmund had broken their engagement 2 weeks before the wedding, claiming he had made a mistake and needed to marry someone more suitable, someone wealthier, he meant. Penelope's dowry was respectable but modest. Miss Caroline Winters, now Lady Hartley, came with £50,000 in extensive property holdings. Edmund had not simply broken the engagement. He had humiliated Penelope publicly, telling anyone who would listen that he had narrowly escaped a poor match, and thanked Providence for revealing the truth before it was too late. Penelope had endured 3 London seasons since then, 3 years of pitying looks, whispered gossip, and Edmund's presence at every social event, making sure everyone remembered her shame. He always found her at balls, always asked with false concern, "Still single, Penelope? What a shame. I had hoped you would find someone by now. Perhaps you should lower your expectations. After all, at 26, you cannot afford to be choosy." The words were designed to wound, to remind her that she was damaged goods, that he had rejected her, that she should be grateful for any attention. Tonight would be no different. Penelope saw Edmund approaching, his wife on his arm, that familiar smirk on his face. "Miss Shaw, how delightful to see you. Still unattached, I see. Caroline and I were just discussing how unfortunate it is that you have had no luck finding a husband. Perhaps—" "Lord Hartley," Penelope interrupted, her voice calm. "How kind of you to concern yourself with my marital status, though I must correct your assumption, I am in fact engaged." Edmund's smirk faltered. "Engaged? To whom? I have heard no announcement." "The announcement will be made tonight. My fiancé preferred to keep the courtship private." "Private? How convenient. And who is this mysterious fiancé? Anyone we know?" Penelope smiled, slow, deliberate, savoring the moment. "The Duke of Ashford." The words fell like stones into water, rippling outward. Edmund went pale. Caroline gasped. Around them, conversations stopped as people turned to stare. "The Duke of Ashford?" Edmund's voice cracked. "That is impossible. The Duke does not court. He has refused every introduction, declined every invitation. He has made it clear he has no interest in marriage. Apparently he does now. You will excuse me, Lord Hartley. I see my fiancé has arrived." Penelope walked away, leaving Edmund staring after her in shock. And it was true. Across the ballroom, entering with the casual confidence of someone who owned half of England, was Adrian Winters, Duke of Ashford. He was 32, devastatingly handsome, and famously elusive. He attended social events rarely, courted no one, and had made it clear through 3 London seasons that he had no interest in marriage, matchmaking mothers, or society's expectations. Every ambitious mother had tried to secure him for her daughter. Every eligible lady had attempted to catch his attention. All had failed, and now he was walking directly toward Penelope, his dark eyes fixed on her, his expression unreadable. He reached her, bowed formally. "Miss Shaw, shall we make the announcement now, or would you prefer to let the speculation build?" "Now, I think. Edmund is watching. I want to see his face." The Duke almost smiled. "As you wish." He took her hand, the one wearing the enormous sapphire engagement ring he had given her 3 days ago, and led her to the center of the ballroom. The Duchess of Somerset, recognizing the Duke's intention, called for silence. The music stopped. Everyone turned to watch. The Duke spoke in a voice that carried across the silent room. "I have the honor of announcing my engagement to Miss Penelope Shaw. We will marry in 6 weeks at Ashford Cathedral. Invitations will be issued next week." Silence. Then chaos. Gasps, whispers, shocked exclamations. Everyone staring at Penelope, plain, jilted Penelope Shaw, wearing the ring of England's most coveted bachelor. Edmund looked like he had been struck. Caroline looked furious. The ambitious mothers looked devastated. And Penelope. Penelope felt vindication sweep through her like fire. After the announcement, the Duke led Penelope to the terrace, away from the chaos they had created. "That went well," he observed. "Your former fiancé looks like he might be ill." "Good. He deserves it. 3 years, Your Grace. 3 years of his public mockery. Tonight I finally had the satisfaction of watching him realize he made a catastrophic mistake. You are quite ruthless when properly motivated. I appreciate that quality." Penelope looked at the man who had agreed to this bizarre arrangement, the Duke of Ashford, the wealthiest peer in England, a man who could have anyone and had chosen a revenge scheme with a jilted spinster. "Your Grace, I need to ask again, are you certain about this? You are risking your reputation to help me exact revenge on a man you barely know. Why?" The Duke leaned against the terrace railing, his expression thoughtful. "3 reasons. First, I detest men like Lord Hartley, cruel men who derive pleasure from humiliating women they once claimed to love. Helping you humiliate him instead appeals to my sense of justice. Second, society has been trying to force me into marriage for years. Every season, the same tedious parade of eager mothers and simpering daughters. This arrangement solves that problem permanently. If I must marry, I prefer to do it on my terms, with someone I can actually tolerate. Third, and most importantly, I like you, Miss Shaw. You are direct, intelligent, and completely unimpressed by my title. That is refreshing. Most women see me as a duke first, a person second. You see me as someone who can help you achieve your goals. That honesty is rare and valuable. But Your Grace, this is not a real marriage. We agreed. A marriage of convenience, separate lives, no expectations beyond public appearances. Are you truly content with that?" "Are you?" Penelope considered. "I am content with no longer being pitied, with no longer being Edmund's target for public humiliation, with having financial security and social position. Romance was never my goal, Your Grace. Self-respect is my goal. This arrangement provides that. Then we are aligned. Miss Shaw, I have watched you for 3 seasons. Watched you endure Lord Hartley's cruelty with dignity. Watched you hold your head high while he systematically destroyed your reputation. I admire your strength. When my solicitor mentioned you were considering accepting a proposal from that aging baron, what was his name? Lord Ashford, 63 years old, seeking a nurse more than a wife. Yes, him. When I learned you were so desperate to escape Lord Hartley's mockery that you would consider that, I decided to intervene. This arrangement benefits us both. You escape humiliation and gain position. I gain a wife who will not bore me with romantic expectations or demands for affection I cannot provide. It is practical. You are very cold, Your Grace. Do you feel anything? I feel satisfaction when I succeed at business ventures. I feel irritation when people waste my time. I feel contempt for men who abuse their power, but love, romance, passion? No, I do not feel those things. I am not capable of them. That is why this arrangement works. You do not expect what I cannot give. It should have saddened Penelope that she was marrying a man who could not love. But after Edmund's betrayal, love seemed like a dangerous fiction anyway. Better to have a practical marriage based on mutual benefit than a romantic marriage that could be destroyed by greed or betrayal. Very well, Your Grace, we have an agreement. I will be your Duchess. I will manage your household, attend necessary social functions, and present the image of a proper marriage. In exchange, you provide me with position, financial security, and protection from further humiliation, and separate bedrooms, your own funds, and complete freedom in how you spend your time as long as appearances are maintained. Yes, though, Your Grace, we should discuss heirs. Your title needs an heir. If we maintain completely separate lives, that becomes complicated. The Duke's jaw tightened slightly. I am aware. We will address that necessity eventually. But, Miss Shaw, I will not force intimacy. When you are ready, if you are ever ready, we will approach it as a practical obligation, completed with respect, but without sentiment. Does that arrangement suit you? It suits me perfectly. Romance is what destroyed my first engagement. I want nothing to do with it in this one. Excellent. Then we understand each other completely. Now, shall we return to the ballroom? I believe your former fiancé is still processing the announcement. It would be entertaining to watch his continued reaction. They returned to find the ballroom buzzing with gossip. Edmund stood with a group of men, his expression thunderous. When he saw Penelope on the Duke's arm, he approached with barely controlled fury. Miss Shaw, may I speak with you privately? Anything you wish to say to my fiancée can be said in my presence, the Duke said coldly. Edmund's face flushed. Your Grace, surely you cannot be serious about marrying her. Penelope is, that is, Miss Shaw is. Miss Shaw is what, Lord Hartley? I am very interested to hear how you complete that sentence. Edmund seemed to realize he was on dangerous ground. I simply meant that this seems sudden, unexpected. I was not aware you even knew each other. We have been acquainted for some time. I prefer to conduct my personal affairs privately. Now, if you will excuse us, I wish to dance with my fiancé. The Duke led Penelope to the dance floor. As they moved through the waltz, he said quietly, "He is furious. This is going even better than I anticipated. He is realizing what he lost. I was not wealthy, but I would have been a devoted wife. He threw that away for money. Now he sees me with the wealthiest man in England and understands exactly what his greed cost him. You are remarkably composed about this. Most women would be emotional, either celebrating or crying. You are simply satisfied. Because this is not about emotion for me anymore. Edmund destroyed my capacity for romantic feeling 3 years ago. This is about justice, about social position, about never again being pitied or mocked. You are giving me all of that, Your Grace. I am grateful. Please call me Adrian, at least in private. If we are to be married, excessive formality seems unnecessary. Very well, Adrian, and you may call me Penelope. Penelope. It suits you. Direct, classic, no pretense. After the ball, Adrian escorted Penelope home in his carriage. Her modest townhouse looked shabby compared to his elegant vehicle. You live here? With your family? My parents died 5 years ago. I live with my aunt, Mrs. Margaret Shaw. She chaperoned tonight but became tired and returned home early. Adrian, you should know my circumstances are quite modest. I have a small income from my parents' estate, but nothing compared to what you are accustomed to. If you are having second thoughts, I am not. Penelope, I have more wealth than I could spend in 5 lifetimes. Your financial situation is irrelevant. What matters is whether you can handle the responsibilities of being a duchess. Can you manage a large household, navigate complex social obligations, represent the family with dignity? Yes. I have been preparing for such responsibilities since childhood. My mother trained me extensively in household management. I may not be wealthy, but I am competent. That is all I require. Competence, intelligence, and the ability to maintain appropriate appearances. You possess all 3. We will suit very well. Over the following weeks, Penelope was thrust into a whirlwind of wedding preparations. Adrian spared no expense. The finest modiste, the most expensive fabrics, an elaborate ceremony at Ashford Cathedral. This is excessive, Penelope protested, when the modiste showed her a wedding gown covered in pearls and lace. I do not need something so extravagant. You are marrying a duke, the wealthiest duke in England. Your wedding gown should reflect that. Penelope, I do not care about the cost, I care about appearances. Society expects spectacle. We will provide it. But Adrian, this gown costs more than I lived on for an entire year. It seems wasteful. Let me worry about waste. You focus on looking like a duchess. That is your role in this arrangement. Present the proper image. Everything else is my concern. The wedding planning revealed something Penelope had not anticipated. Adrian was kind. Beneath the cold exterior and the practical approach to their arrangement, he was considerate in small ways. He asked her preferences, respected her opinions, ensured she was comfortable with every decision. When the wedding breakfast menu was being planned, he noticed her hesitation. What is wrong? Nothing, some of these dishes seem very rich. I worry guests might find the menu heavy. Adrian immediately revised the menu, incorporating her suggestions. You are right. I was not thinking about practical concerns, only expense. This is why I need you, Penelope. You have sense I sometimes lack. You value my opinion. I assumed this was all for show, that you would make decisions and I would simply agree. Why would I marry an intelligent woman and then ignore her intelligence? That would be idiotic. Penelope, this marriage may be practical rather than romantic, but it is still a partnership. I expect you to manage the household, advise on social matters, and provide perspective I might miss. Your thoughts are valuable. It was the first time in 3 years anyone had treated Penelope's opinions as valuable. Edmund had dismissed everything she said as naive or uninformed. Adrian listened, considered, and often agreed. 6 weeks after the engagement announcement, the wedding took place. Ashford Cathedral was filled with hundreds of guests, everyone who mattered in London society, including Edmund and Caroline. Penelope walked down the aisle in her pearl-covered gown, her head high, her expression serene. She saw Edmund's face, conflicted, regretful, bitter. She saw Caroline's jealousy. She saw the mothers whose daughters had pursued Adrian looking devastated, and she felt nothing. No triumph, no vindication, no satisfaction, just cold determination to fulfill her role. Adrian stood at the altar in formal black, his expression unreadable. When Penelope reached him, he took her hand and said quietly, "You look beautiful. Not that it matters for our purposes, but I thought you should know." They spoke their vows in clear voices. No trembling, no emotion, just words binding them legally forever. When the vicar pronounced them husband and wife, Adrian kissed Penelope chastely, a brief, formal kiss that conveyed nothing beyond obligation. Then they turned to face society as the Duke and Duchess of Ashford. The wedding breakfast was elaborate. Adrian had spared no expense, the finest food, the best champagne, an orchestra, everything designed to showcase his wealth and position. Edmund approached during the reception. "Your Grace, may I offer my congratulations?" Penelope smiled coldly. "How kind, Lord Hartley. I hope you and Lady Hartley are well." "Yes, quite well. Your Grace, I wonder if I might speak with you privately." "No," Adrian said flatly. "You may not. Lord Hartley, you had 3 years to speak with my wife. You chose to spend those years mocking her publicly. She has nothing to say to you now." Edmund flushed with anger. "Your Grace, surely—" "Good evening, Lord Hartley." Adrian led Penelope away. She glanced back to see Edmund standing alone, fury and regret warring on his face. After the reception, Adrian and Penelope travelled to Ashford Manor, his primary estate. The house was magnificent, enormous, perfectly maintained, staffed by dozens of servants. Mrs. Pemberton, the housekeeper, greeted them formally. "Your Grace is welcome. Your apartments are prepared. Shall I show you to your rooms?" "Please," Adrian said. Then to Penelope, "As we discussed, you have your own suite, completely separate from mine. Your space, your privacy, your domain." Mrs. Pemberton showed Penelope to a suite that was larger than her entire previous home. Bedroom, sitting room, dressing room, private bath, all decorated in elegant blues and silvers. "This is beautiful," Penelope said quietly. "His Grace had it redecorated specifically for you. He asked what colors you preferred and ensured every detail reflected your taste. He was quite particular about it." After Mrs. Pemberton left, Penelope sat in her new sitting room, processing the strangeness of her situation. She was married. She was a duchess. She lived in a palace. And her husband, who had been scrupulously kind and considerate, wanted nothing from her except public appearances. A knock on the connecting door interrupted her thoughts. "Penelope, may I enter?" "Yes." Adrian entered, still in his formal wedding attire. "I wanted to ensure you have everything you need. If anything is unsatisfactory, tell Mrs. Pemberton and it will be corrected immediately. Everything is perfect. Adrian, this is overwhelming. The suite, the expense, the kindness. I expected a practical arrangement, not luxury. You are my Duchess. Luxury is appropriate. But Penelope, I need you to understand something. This marriage may be practical, but I will not treat you poorly. You will have respect, consideration, and every comfort I can provide. What I cannot provide is emotional attachment, but I can provide material security and basic human decency. That is what I am offering. That is more than Edmund ever offered. He claimed to love me, then discarded me for money. You offer honesty instead of love. I prefer your approach." Adrian nodded. "Good. Now we should discuss expectations. Tomorrow we will tour the estate together so you can learn about your responsibilities. You will manage the household, the servants, social obligations. I will manage the business and financial aspects. We will appear together at necessary events. Otherwise, we maintain separate lives. Does this suit you?" "Perfectly. Adrian, may I ask, Why did you really agree to this? You could have anyone. Why choose a jilted woman seeking revenge? Adrian was quiet for a moment. Because you are not looking for love. Every other woman who has pursued me wanted romance, devotion, emotional connection. I cannot provide those things. I tried once, years ago, and failed spectacularly. I am not capable of romantic love. You do not want it from me. That makes you the perfect choice. What happened? Years ago when you tried. That is a story for another time. For now, I will leave you to settle in. Rest. Tomorrow we begin our partnership in earnest. Over the following weeks, Penelope discovered that being the Duchess of Ashford was remarkably satisfying. She managed a household of 40 servants with efficiency that impressed everyone. She organized social events that became the season's highlights. She advised Adrian on several business matters where her perspective proved valuable, and Adrian, true to his word, treated her with consistent respect. He consulted her opinions, valued her judgment, ensured she had everything needed to succeed in her role. But there was no warmth between them. They were colleagues, partners in a business arrangement. They spent their days together managing the estate, their evenings apart in separate rooms. 3 months into the marriage, they attended a ball where Edmund was present. He had been drinking, and he approached Penelope with obvious intent. "Your Grace, I need to tell you something. I made a mistake, a terrible mistake. I should never have ended our engagement. You are worthy of so much more than I gave you. Lord Hartley, you are drunk. You should go home." "No, listen. I see how the Duke treats you. Politely, but without affection. He is cold, Penelope. You deserve warmth. You deserve love. Come back to me. Leave him. We can—" Adrian appeared beside them, his expression dangerous. "Lord Hartley, I suggest you leave my wife alone." "Your wife? You treat her like a business associate. I may have made mistakes, but at least I felt something for her. You feel nothing for anyone." Adrian's voice went ice cold. "I feel many things, Lord Hartley. Right now, I feel intense dislike for a man who is harassing my wife. Leave, now, or I will have you removed." Edmund stumbled away. Adrian turned to Penelope. "Are you all right?" "Yes. He is drunk and foolish. Adrian, you did not need to intervene. I could have handled him." "I know you could have. But you are my wife. I protect what is mine. That is not sentiment, it is responsibility." But as they returned to their carriage, Penelope wondered if that was entirely true. Adrian claimed to feel nothing, but his fury at Edmund seemed genuine. His protection of her seemed more than just responsibility. Perhaps there was more to the cold Duke of Ashford than he wanted to admit. 6 months into the marriage, Penelope received an unexpected invitation: tea with Caroline Hartley, Edmund's wife. She considered refusing, but curiosity won. They met at a fashionable tea house. Caroline looked strained, older than her 23 years. "Your Grace, thank you for agreeing to meet. I know this is unusual. Why did you invite me, Lady Hartley? We are not friends." Caroline took a shaky breath. "Because I need to apologize. I knew. When Edmund broke your engagement, I knew he was doing it for my money. I knew he did not love me. I convinced myself it did not matter, that money and position were enough. But Your Grace, I was wrong. Edmund is miserable. He regrets losing you every day. He makes sure I know it. And I realize now that I helped destroy your happiness for my own ambition. I am sorry." Penelope studied the woman across from her. "Caroline, I appreciate the apology, but you did not destroy my happiness. You revealed Edmund's true character. He chose money over love. That showed me who he really was. You did me a favor. But you were jilted, humiliated. For 3 years, Edmund mocked you publicly. That is terrible." "It was, but it led me here, to a position far superior to what I would have had with Edmund. I am the Duchess of Ashford. I manage one of England's greatest estates. I have power, influence, respect. Caroline, your greed and Edmund's gave me something far better than what I lost. But are you happy? The Duke is so cold. Everyone says your marriage is purely practical. Is that really better than love?" Penelope considered how to answer honestly. Edmund's love was conditional, based on my dowry, my appearance, my ability to serve his ambitions. When something better came along, he discarded me without hesitation. That is not love. The Duke makes no false promises. He offers respect, partnership, honesty. Yes, it is practical, but it is also reliable. I prefer reliable to romantic lies. After tea, Penelope returned to Ashford Manor troubled. Was she happy? She was satisfied, certainly. Successful in her role, respected, but happy. She found Adrian in his study, reviewing business documents. May I interrupt? Always. What do you need? I had tea with Lady Hartley today. She asked if I was happy. I did not know how to answer. Adrian set down his papers, gave her his full attention. Are you happy? I do not know. I am satisfied with my role. I value our partnership. But Adrian, is satisfaction enough or is something missing? What do you think is missing? I am not sure. Warmth, perhaps? We are partners, but we are not friends. We are married, but we are strangers. We maintain separate lives so completely that sometimes I wonder why we married at all. Adrian was quiet for a long moment. Penelope, I told you I cannot provide emotional connection. That remains true. But you are right. We have been maintaining separation more strictly than necessary. Perhaps we could adjust. Not romance, but friendship. Would that help? What would friendship look like for us? Spending time together beyond necessary appearances. Talking about more than just household management. Actually getting to know each other. Penelope, I value you. You are intelligent, competent, and you make this house feel less empty. Could we build on that foundation? Not love, but genuine companionship? I would like that. I'm tired of being lonely, Adrian. Even in a full house, I am lonely. So am I, he admitted. I have been lonely for years, since before we married. That is why I agreed to this arrangement. You do not expect me to be something I cannot be. But perhaps I have been too rigid, too focused on maintaining distance. Could we try something different? Over the following months, they did try something different. They began having breakfast together daily, discussing everything from politics to literature. They spent evenings in the library, reading companionably. They toured the estate together, making decisions jointly rather than separately. And slowly, something shifted. Not love, neither expected or wanted that, but genuine friendship. Respect deepened into affection. Partnership evolved into companionship. One evening, 9 months into their marriage, they were playing chess in the library. Penelope made a clever move that won the game. Adrian laughed, a real laugh, full and genuine. That was brilliant. I did not see that coming. Penelope, you are a far better strategist than I gave you credit for. You assumed I was merely competent at household management. You did not realize I could outthink you. A mistake I will not repeat. Though I notice you have been outthinking me for months, the changes you suggested to the estate management have increased profits by 15%. The restructuring of household staff has improved efficiency dramatically. You have transformed this place. We have transformed it together. Adrian, I want to tell you something. I am happy. Not satisfied, actually happy. This friendship we have built, this partnership, it matters to me. You matter to me. Adrian looked at her with unusual intensity. You matter to me, too. More than I anticipated. Penelope, I agreed to this marriage thinking it would be purely functional, but you have become important to me in ways I did not expect. Is that acceptable? Or does it violate our original agreement? It is more than acceptable. It is what I wanted without realizing I wanted it. Adrian, we agreed to a practical marriage, but we never said we could not become friends, that we could not care about each other. This does not have to be cold forever. 1 year into their marriage, they hosted a massive ball at Ashford Manor. Edmund and Caroline attended. They could not refuse an invitation from the Duke of Ashford. Penelope, resplendent in emerald silk with the Ashford sapphires at her throat, greeted guests with confidence, born from a year of successfully managing one of England's grandest households. Edmund approached during the evening. He was thinner, his face lined with dissatisfaction. Your Grace, you look well. Marriage to the Duke suits you. Thank you, Lord Hartley. I hope you and Lady Hartley are well. We are adequate. Your Grace, may I be honest? I see how you have thrived, the confidence you have gained, the position you hold. I realize now what I destroyed. You would have been a remarkable wife. I was a fool to value money over your genuine worth. Yes, you were. But Lord Hartley, your foolishness gave me an opportunity I never would have had otherwise. So in a strange way, I should thank you. Your betrayal led me here, to a position far superior to anything I would have achieved as your wife. So thank you for being mercenary and cruel. It worked out very well for me. The words were delivered without malice, just simple truth. Edmund flinched as if struck. Adrian appeared at Penelope's side. "Lord Hartley, I trust you are enjoying the evening?" "Yes, Your Grace, your home is magnificent, and your wife is clearly thriving. You are a fortunate man." "I am aware. Penelope, shall we dance?" As they moved through the waltz, Adrian said, "You handled that well. No anger, no bitterness. Just calm acknowledgement of reality." He looked devastated. "Good. Not because I want him to suffer, but because he needs to understand the consequences of his choices. He threw away something real for something transactional. Now he watches me flourish with someone else and realizes what he lost. Do you still feel anything for him? Anger? Residual hurt?" "No, nothing. He is irrelevant to me now." "Adrian, I thought revenge would feel triumphant. Instead, it feels empty. I wanted to make Edmund regret his choices. Mission accomplished, but it does not bring the satisfaction I expected. Perhaps because you have moved beyond needing revenge. You have built something real here. Position, purpose, respect. His regret is irrelevant to your actual happiness. When did you become wise about emotions?" "Since I started paying attention to someone who made me want to understand them better." The comment hung between them, weighted with meaning neither was quite ready to examine. 18 months into their marriage, Penelope realized something had shifted fundamentally. She no longer thought about Edmund. She no longer catalogued the ways her life as a duchess was superior to what she would have had with him. Instead, she found herself thinking about Adrian, about their morning conversations, their evening chess games, the way he listened to her opinions with genuine interest, the way he smiled when she made clever observations, the way he had begun touching her casually, a hand at her back, a brush of fingers when passing documents, small intimacies that suggested comfort rather than obligation. She was developing feelings, real feelings, for a man who had told her repeatedly he could not reciprocate. One evening, after Adrian had laughed at something she said and looked at her with unmistakable warmth, Penelope excused herself early and retreated to her rooms. She needed to address this before it became unbearable. She needed to accept that their marriage was exactly what they had agreed to. Partnership without passion, companionship without romance. A knock on the connecting door interrupted her thoughts. "Penelope, may I enter?" "Yes." Adrian entered, his expression concerned. "You left abruptly. Did something upset you?" "No. I needed time alone." "That is unlike you." "Penelope, have I done something wrong? Has our friendship become uncomfortable?" "No, Adrian. You have done everything right. That is the problem. I do not understand." Penelope took a breath, decided on honesty. "Our agreement was for a practical marriage. No expectations of emotional attachment. But Adrian, I have developed feelings for you. Real feelings, not gratitude, not friendship, actual romantic feelings. And I know that is not what you want, not what you are capable of feeling in return, so I need to manage these feelings before they damage what we have built." Adrian went very still. "You have feelings for me?" "Yes. I am sorry. I know that violates our agreement, but I cannot help it. You have been kind, respectful, genuinely interested in me as a person. You value my intelligence, respect my opinions, make me feel seen. How could I not develop feelings? Penelope, I need to tell you something. Something I should have told you before we married, about why I believed I was incapable of romantic love. You do not owe me explanations. I do, because you deserve to understand. Sit, please." They sat in her sitting room, the fire crackling, the moment heavy with significance. 5 years ago, Adrian began, I was engaged to Lady Victoria Pemberton, beautiful, accomplished, everything society expected. I thought I loved her. I thought we would marry, have children, build a life together. What happened? She died 3 weeks before our wedding, thrown from her horse during a morning ride. I found her. She was still alive when I reached her, but barely. She died in my arms. Adrian, I am so sorry. After she died, I felt nothing. I expected devastating grief. Instead, I felt empty, relieved almost. I realized I had not actually loved her. I had loved the idea of her, the appropriate match she represented. But the woman herself, I barely knew her. We had courted properly, said all the right things, but there was no real connection. That does not mean you are incapable of love. That means you did not love her specifically. Perhaps, but after her death, I tried. I tried to feel something for other women. Tried to develop interest, attraction, connection. Nothing worked. I concluded I was simply not capable of romantic feeling, that I was broken in some fundamental way. So I decided to embrace that, to marry practically rather than pretend to feel what I could not. And then you married me. And then I married you, another practical arrangement. Except Penelope, something unexpected happened. I began to feel things. Small things at first. Satisfaction in your company. Pleasure in your laugh. Interest in your thoughts. Then larger things. Protectiveness when Edmund harassed you. Pride when you succeeded at managing the estate. Warmth when you smiled at me. Penelope's breath caught. What are you saying? I am saying that I think I was wrong about being incapable of love. I think I simply had not met someone who made me want to try. Penelope, you have awakened something I thought was dead. I cannot promise it is love. I do not know what love feels like. But I feel more for you than I have felt for anyone. You are not just my Duchess, not just my partner. You are important to me in ways I cannot fully articulate. Adrian, are you saying you have feelings for me? I am saying I do not want separate lives anymore. I do not want to maintain careful distance. I want to know you completely. I want mornings and evenings and everything in between. I want a real marriage, not just a practical one. If you are willing, Penelope felt tears threaten. Are you certain? This is not obligation or guilt about my feelings. I am certain. Penelope, I have been thinking about this for months. Fighting it, actually. Telling myself I was imagining things, that it was just comfortable companionship. But tonight, when you said you had developed feelings, I realized I felt relieved, hopeful, because I want those feelings reciprocated. I want you to care about me the way I have come to care about you. I do care about you. I have for months. I tried not to because I thought you could not reciprocate. But Adrian, I fell in love with you. Not the Duke, not the position. You, the man who values my intelligence, who listens when I speak, who made me feel seen for the first time in my life. Adrian crossed the space between them, took her hands. Then may I suggest we stop maintaining separate lives? Stop pretending this is purely practical? Penelope, I want a real marriage. With you. If you want that too. I want that more than anything. He kissed her then, not the chaste obligatory kiss from their wedding, but a real kiss full of genuine feeling. Penelope kissed back, pouring 18 months of suppressed emotion into it. When they broke apart, Adrian said, I should probably move my things to the connecting bedroom. Separate wings seems unnecessary now. Very unnecessary. Though, Adrian, we should probably discuss expectations, physical intimacy. We have avoided that topic carefully. We have. Penelope, I want you, not out of obligation for producing heirs, but because I genuinely desire you. But I will not pressure you. We move at whatever pace makes you comfortable. I am comfortable now. Adrian, I have waited 18 months. I am done waiting. What followed was tender, passionate, and completely unlike the cold, practical relationship they had begun with. They made love with genuine emotion, genuine connection, genuine care for each other. Afterward, lying tangled together in Penelope's bed, Adrian said, This changes everything. Is that good or bad? Very good. Penelope, I thought I knew what our marriage would be. Practical, cordial, emotionally distant. Instead, you have given me something I did not think I was capable of. Genuine love. That is extraordinary. You gave me something too. You made me feel valuable after years of being dismissed. You saw me when I felt invisible. That is why I fell in love with you, not because you are a duke, but because you treated me like I mattered. They fell asleep together. The carefully maintained distance between them finally dissolved. The next morning, the household staff discovered that His Grace had relocated to the Duchess's wing. Mrs. Pemberton smiled knowingly. She had been watching the Duke and Duchess grow closer for months, and was pleased they had finally acknowledged what everyone else could already see. 2 years into their marriage, Penelope discovered she was pregnant. She told Adrian over breakfast, uncertain how he would react. I am with child. The physician confirmed it yesterday. Adrian's face transformed. Shock, then joy, then something like wonder. We are having a child. A real child. Not an obligation, but a child created from genuine love. Are you happy about this? Ecstatic. Terrified, but ecstatic. Penelope, I never thought I would have this. A wife I love. A child we created together. This is more than I ever expected from life. The pregnancy transformed Adrian. He became simultaneously more protective and more affectionate. He fussed over Penelope constantly, ensuring she had everything needed, worried about every small discomfort. You need to rest more. The physician said rest is important. Adrian, I am pregnant, not ill. I can continue managing the household. But should you? What if it is too much strain? Perhaps we should hire an additional housekeeper to reduce your workload. I do not need an additional housekeeper. I need my husband to stop treating me like fragile porcelain. I am carrying your child, not dying of consumption. I know, I want you both safe. You are the most important thing in my life, Penelope. If something happened to you because I did not take proper precautions, nothing will happen. I am healthy. The pregnancy is progressing normally and I am perfectly capable of managing my normal activities. Please, Adrian, trust me to know my own limits. He tried, but his protectiveness remained intense throughout the pregnancy. Penelope found it simultaneously irritating and endearing, evidence of how much he cared, even when that caring became excessive. 8 months pregnant, they attended a dinner party where Edmund was present. He had aged poorly. Dissipation and dissatisfaction carved into his features. He approached Penelope during the evening. Your Grace, congratulations on the coming child. You look radiant. Thank you, Lord Hartley. I heard the Duke has become remarkably devoted, that your marriage has evolved from practical arrangement to genuine love match. That is unexpected. Why unexpected? Did you assume I was unlovable because you chose not to love me? Edmund flinched. I deserved that. Your Grace, I see now what I lost. You would have been an exceptional wife. I was a fool to prioritize money over your genuine worth. Yes, you were. But Lord Hartley, your foolishness was the best thing that ever happened to me. If you had married me, I never would have found Adrian. Never would have had this life, this position, this happiness. So thank you for being cruel and mercenary. It led me exactly where I needed to be. You are happy then. Truly happy. Deliriously happy. I am married to a man who loves me, values me, treats me as an equal partner. I am carrying his child. I manage one of England's greatest estates. I have everything I could possibly want. Your rejection was the best gift you ever gave me. After Edmund walked away, Adrian appeared at Penelope's side. You handled that with remarkable grace. I expected more anger. There is no anger left. Only gratitude that things worked out as they did. Adrian, if Edmund had not broken our engagement, I never would have been at that ball where you announced our engagement. Never would have married you. Never would have this happiness. His cruelty led to my joy. How can I be angry about that? You are extraordinary. Most people would still carry resentment. Resentment requires emotional investment. Edmund is not worth my emotional investment. You are. This child is. Our life together is. He is simply irrelevant. Their daughter was born on a spring morning. They named her Victoria, after Adrian's first fiancée, as a way of acknowledging his past while celebrating his present. Holding Victoria for the first time, Adrian wept. She is perfect. Penelope, we created this. This perfect little person exists because we found each other. That is miraculous. You are remarkably sentimental for a man who claimed to be incapable of emotion. You awakened emotions I thought were dead. Now I cannot seem to stop feeling everything. It is overwhelming and wonderful. 3 years into their marriage, they hosted another grand ball. Edmund attended with Caroline, who looked tired and unhappy. Their marriage had not improved. Edmund's regret and Caroline's resentment created a toxic atmosphere everyone could see. During the evening, Edmund watched Adrian and Penelope dance together with obvious love and affection. The contrast with his own cold marriage was stark. Caroline approached Penelope during a break in dancing. Your Grace, you were right. That day at tea when you said the Duke's honesty was better than Edmund's romantic lies, you were absolutely right. I watch your marriage. The genuine love, the partnership, the happiness. That is what I wanted. Instead, I have money and a title and a husband who resents me for not being you. I am sorry, Lady Hartley. That must be difficult. It is. But Your Grace, I made my choices. I pursued Edmund knowing he did not love me. I convinced myself money would be enough. It is not. It never is. You chose differently. You married for partnership and honesty rather than romance and money. That was wiser than I realized. After Caroline walked away, Adrian pulled Penelope onto the terrace. I have been thinking about our beginning, the revenge scheme. the practical arrangement, the agreement to maintain emotional distance. It seems absurd now. Absurd? We began this marriage as a way to humiliate your former fiancé and give me a convenient wife who would not expect emotional attachment. Instead, we found genuine love. That was not the plan. No, but it was the outcome. Adrian, do you regret how we began? The deception, the calculation? Not for a moment, because it led us here. Yes, we began practically, but we built something real. And Penelope, I need you to know, I love you. Not practically, not conveniently, genuinely, deeply, completely. You are the most important person in my world. I love you too. And Adrian, I need to thank you. For what? For seeing me when I was invisible. For valuing me when I felt worthless. For giving me the chance to become the person I was capable of being. You transformed my life. You transformed mine. I was empty before you, going through motions, maintaining appearances, convinced I was incapable of genuine emotion. You proved me wrong. You gave me purpose, happiness, love. That is everything. 5 years into their marriage, Penelope gave birth to a son, the heir Adrian's title required. They named him James, and he was healthy, loud, and absolutely adored by both parents. With 2 children and a thriving marriage, Penelope felt profoundly content. The girl who had been jilted and humiliated now had everything: love, family, position, purpose. One afternoon, she received an unexpected visitor. Edmund requested a private audience. Adrian was reluctant, but Penelope agreed. Edmund looked haggard. 5 years of an unhappy marriage had taken their toll. Your Grace, thank you for seeing me. I have been wanting to speak with you for some time. What do you need, Lord Hartley? To apologize properly. Not the half-hearted attempts I made at balls and parties, but a genuine apology. Your Grace, Penelope, I was cruel to you. For 3 years after breaking our engagement, I mocked you publicly, made sure everyone remembered your humiliation, took pleasure in your pain. That was unconscionable. Yes, it was. Why are you apologizing now, 5 years later? Because I finally understand what I destroyed. I watch your marriage, the love, the partnership, the genuine happiness. That is what we could have had. But I chose money over love. I chose Caroline's dowry over your worth. And Penelope, I have paid for that choice every day since. I am sorry your marriage is unhappy. But Lord Hartley, that is not my concern. You made your choices. Now you live with the consequences. I know. But Penelope, I need you to understand. I did love you. At least, I thought I did. I was young and stupid, and convinced myself that money mattered more than genuine feeling. I was wrong, catastrophically wrong, and I have spent 5 years watching you flourish with someone else and realizing what I destroyed through my own greed. Penelope studied him, the man who had broken her heart, humiliated her publicly, made her feel worthless. He looked genuinely remorseful, genuinely broken by his own choices. Lord Hartley, I forgive you. Not because you deserve forgiveness, but because carrying resentment is exhausting. You hurt me terribly, but that hurt led me to Adrian, to this life, to happiness I never would have found with you. So, in a strange way, I owe you gratitude. Your cruelty was the catalyst for my joy. You are kinder than I deserve. Penelope, Your Grace, I hope you know that you are remarkable. The Duke is fortunate to have found you, and I am fortunate to have found him. Goodbye, Lord Hartley. I hope you find peace somehow. After Edmund left, Adrian found Penelope in the garden. What did he want? To apologize, to express regret, to acknowledge that he destroyed something valuable through his own greed. And how do you feel about that? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I forgave him because it seemed easier than continuing to care. But Adrian, he is irrelevant to me. He has been irrelevant for years. The only emotion I feel toward Edmund Hartley is mild pity that he made such terrible choices. Good. He deserves your pity more than your anger. Though I confess, I still want to punch him every time I remember how he treated you. Very chivalrous, but unnecessary. Edmund cannot hurt me anymore. He has no power over my emotions, my happiness, my life. You have all of that. He has nothing. 10 years into their marriage, they had 4 children, Victoria, James, Eleanor, and Thomas. The house was chaos, beautiful, joyful chaos. Children running through hallways, laughter echoing through rooms, the constant noise of a well-loved family. One evening, after getting all 4 children to bed, Adrian and Penelope collapsed in the library exhausted. "I am too old for 4 children," Adrian complained. "I am 42. I should be drinking brandy in peace, not chasing toddlers." "You love it. Do not pretend otherwise. I do love it, but I am still exhausted. How do you manage them all?" "Years of practice managing a difficult Duke prepared me for managing difficult children. You are all essentially the same. Stubborn, demanding, occasionally charming." Adrian laughed. "I am not sure whether to be insulted or flattered." "Be flattered. I love you despite your difficulty. That is quite an accomplishment." "I love you too." "Penelope, do you remember our wedding? The cold, practical arrangement we agreed to. The promise to maintain emotional distance and separate lives." "Vividly. We were very serious about not developing feelings for each other. We failed spectacularly at that. Within 18 months we were completely in love. Within 2 years we had our first child. Within 5 years we could not imagine life without each other. We are terrible at practical marriages." "Terrible," Penelope agreed, "but excellent at actual marriages. The real kind built on love and partnership and daily choice to keep choosing each other. That is much better than what we planned." "Penelope, I need to tell you something. That night, when I announced our engagement at the ball, when I saw Edmund's face as he realized you were marrying me, I felt satisfaction, victory, but I did not feel love. I did not know you well enough to love you yet. I know. Neither of us loved each other then. We were using each other for mutual benefit." "Exactly. But somewhere between that night and now everything changed. I fell in love with you so gradually, I did not notice it happening. Now I cannot remember what life was like before you, cannot imagine existing without you. You became essential without me realizing it. When did you know that you loved me?" Adrian thought carefully. "There was not one moment. It was accumulated moments. The morning you corrected my business strategy and proved you were right. The evening you laughed at something I said, and I realized I wanted to hear that laugh every day. The night Victoria was born, and I saw you holding our daughter with such love. It built over time until one day I realized I could not imagine my life without you in it. That was when I knew. For me, it was simpler. I fell in love with you the first time you treated my opinion as valuable. Edmund had dismissed everything I said for years. You listened, considered, often agreed. That respect transformed into affection, then love. I tried to fight it because I thought you could not reciprocate, but I failed. You became important despite my best efforts to maintain distance. I'm glad we both failed at maintaining distance. Glad we both failed at the practical, emotionless marriage we planned. Glad we built something real instead." 15 years into their marriage, their children were growing. Victoria was 12, already showing signs of her mother's intelligence and her father's determination. James was 10, charming and clever. Eleanor was 8, quiet but observant. Thomas was 6, chaos in human form. One afternoon, Victoria asked her mother an unexpected question. "Mama, is it true you were engaged before you married Papa? That your first fiancé broke the engagement?" Penelope considered how to answer honestly, without burdening her daughter with adult complications. "Yes. I was engaged to Lord Edmund Hartley. He ended the engagement 2 weeks before our wedding. Why? Because he valued money more than love. He chose to marry someone wealthier. That was stupid. Papa is wealthier than anyone. If Lord Hartley had married you, he would have missed the opportunity to marry Papa." Penelope laughed. "That is not quite how it works, darling. If Lord Hartley had married me, I never would have met your father. Then I am glad Lord Hartley was stupid, because you and Papa are perfect together. You love each other, everyone can see it. We do love each other, very much. But Victoria, we did not always. When we first married, it was a practical arrangement. We grew to love each other over time. How? How do you grow to love someone? By paying attention, by listening to them, by valuing who they are rather than who you wish they were. Your father did that for me. He saw me, really saw me, when I felt invisible. That made me love him, and I did the same for him. We built love through daily choices to care about each other." Victoria absorbed this. "So love is not magic? It is work?" "Love is both. The initial attraction might be magic. But sustaining love over years, that is work. Good work, but work nonetheless. Your father and I choose each other every day. That is what makes our love strong." 20 years into their marriage, tragedy struck. Edmund died suddenly, a heart seizure at 46. Caroline requested Penelope's presence at the funeral. Penelope attended out of courtesy, not sentiment. She had long since stopped feeling anything for Edmund beyond mild pity. At the funeral, Caroline approached her. "Your Grace, thank you for coming. I know Edmund treated you terribly. You had no obligation to be here. I came out of respect for you, Lady Hartley, not for him. I appreciate that. Your Grace, I need to tell you something. Edmund never stopped regretting his choice. He spent 20 years comparing me unfavorably to you. Every success you had, every happiness you found, he catalogued it as evidence of his catastrophic mistake. It poisoned our marriage completely. I lived in your shadow for 2 decades. I am sorry, that must have been unbearable." "It was, but Your Grace, I also need to thank you. Watching your marriage, the genuine love, the partnership, taught me what was possible. When Edmund died, I felt relief more than grief. Now I have the opportunity to build a life free from constant comparison to you. That is a gift." After the funeral, Penelope told Adrian about the conversation. Edmund spent 20 years regretting his choice. 20 years wishing he had married me instead of Caroline. That is sad. It is, but it is also justice. He chose greed over love. He destroyed something valuable. Living with that regret is appropriate consequences. Do you ever regret anything? About how we began? Only that I did not find you sooner. Penelope, we wasted years. You being humiliated by Edmund, me being convinced I was incapable of love. If we had found each other earlier, we could have had more time together, but we might not have appreciated each other without those experiences. I needed Edmund's betrayal to recognize your worth. You needed Victoria's death to understand what genuine love actually feels like. Our painful pasts made us ready for each other. That is a remarkably philosophical perspective. I am a remarkably philosophical duchess. 25 years into their marriage, their children were grown. Victoria had married well, to a man who valued her intelligence and treated her as an equal partner. James was managing the estate brilliantly. Eleanor had shocked everyone by becoming a scholar. Thomas was serving in the military. Adrian and Penelope found themselves alone again in Ashford Manor, the house they had filled with children now quiet. "This is strange," Penelope observed one evening. "For 20 years, this house has been chaos. Now it is just us again. Like the beginning, but different. Very different. At the beginning we barely knew each other, maintained careful distance. Now I cannot imagine being apart from you for even a day. Do you miss the chaos, the children running through hallways?" "Sometimes, but Penelope, I also appreciate having you to myself again. 20 years of children means 20 years of interrupted conversations, stolen moments, never quite enough time together. Now we have time. What should we do with it? Everything we have been putting off. Travel, long conversations without interruption, mornings in bed without small people demanding attention, rediscovering each other without parental responsibilities consuming all our energy." They did exactly that. Over the following years they traveled extensively, to Italy, Greece, France. They spent hours talking about everything and nothing. They rekindled the romance that had been somewhat buried under the demands of raising 4 children. One evening in Venice, 30 years into their marriage, Penelope said, "I need to tell you something. I have been thinking about our beginning, the revenge scheme that started all of this." "What about it?" "I am embarrassed by it, by how petty I was. Adrian, I married you initially because I wanted to make Edmund regret his choices. I wanted to humiliate him the way he humiliated me. That is not a good reason to marry, but it is not why you stayed married. Penelope, yes, revenge brought us together, but love kept us together. The revenge was satisfied within months. We have been married 30 years. Clearly something deeper than revenge sustained this marriage. True, but I still feel guilty that I used you initially, that my motives were not pure. My motives were not pure either. I married you because I wanted a wife who would not expect emotional attachment. Because you seemed safe, someone I could not hurt because you did not want my heart anyway. We both entered this marriage with selfish motives, but we built something genuine despite that. Is that not more impressive? Taking selfish beginnings and transforming them into selfless love? When did you become so wise? Since I spent 30 years with someone who made me think deeply about everything, you changed me, Penelope. The man who married you was cold, closed off, convinced he was incapable of love. The man I am now loves deeply, feels intensely, cannot imagine life without you. That transformation is entirely your doing. Not entirely. You chose to change. You could have maintained walls. Instead, you let me in. That was your choice. 35 years into their marriage, they became grandparents. Victoria had her first child, a daughter she named Penelope, after her grandmother. Holding baby Penelope, the older Penelope felt tears threaten. I never thought I would have this grandchildren, family, legacy. When Edmund broke our engagement, I thought my life was over. I thought I would spend my existence as a pitied spinster. Instead, I have this. Children who love me, grandchildren to spoil, a husband who adores me. It is more than I ever imagined possible. You deserved all of it. You deserved love, family, happiness. Edmund's cruelty delayed it, but could not prevent it. You built this life through your own strength and choices. We built it together. Adrian, none of this exists without you. You gave me the opportunity to become the person I was capable of being. You saw potential when everyone else saw damaged goods. That changed everything. 40 years into their marriage, Adrian fell ill, a lung condition that gradually weakened him. The physicians tried everything, but his health continued to decline. Penelope sat beside his bed daily, managing the estate from his bedroom, refusing to leave his side. You are not allowed to die. We have at least 20 more years together. I forbid you to leave me. I do not think I have a choice in the matter. Penelope, my lungs are failing. We both know what that means. Then fight harder. I need you. Our grandchildren need you. You cannot leave me alone now. You will not be alone. You have children who love you, grandchildren who adore you. And Penelope, you are the strongest person I know. You survived Edmund's betrayal. You survived 3 years of public humiliation. You survived building a life from nothing. You can survive this too. I do not want to survive this. I want you to stay with me. Adrian took her hand weakly. Do you remember the night we announced our engagement? When I walked across that ballroom and Edmund's face went white with shock. How could I forget? That was the night everything changed. I thought I was doing you a favor, giving you revenge, position, protection. I had no idea I was actually finding the love of my life. Penelope, you were supposed to be convenient. Instead, you became essential. You awakened something in me I thought was dead. That is the greatest gift anyone ever gave me. You gave me the same gift. You made me feel valuable when I felt worthless. You saw me when I was invisible. Adrian, you transformed my life completely. How do I go on without you? By remembering that you are remarkable. By continuing to be the extraordinary woman you have always been. By loving our children and grandchildren with the same intensity you loved me. That is how you honor what we built. By living fully, not by stopping when I stop. Adrian died peacefully 3 weeks later, holding Penelope's hand, surrounded by his children and grandchildren. His last words were, "Thank you for agreeing to that ridiculous revenge scheme. Thank you for 40 years of extraordinary love. Thank you for being exactly who you are. I love you, Penelope. Always." The funeral was massive. Adrian had been beloved by his tenants, his business associates, his community, but the most moving tribute came from Penelope herself, who insisted on speaking despite her grief. My husband and I began our marriage as a scheme to exact revenge on the man who had jilted me. That is not romantic. It is not the story people want to hear. But it is the truth. Adrian offered me a practical marriage, position without passion, security without sentiment. I accepted because I wanted to make my former fiancé regret his choices. We both entered this marriage with selfish motives, but somewhere between the revenge scheme and today, we built something real. We fell in love gradually, without meaning to, despite our best efforts to maintain emotional distance. Adrian taught me that love could be trusted, that not all men were like the one who betrayed me. That genuine partnership was possible. I gave him something too. He believed he was incapable of love, that his heart had died with his first fiancée. I proved him wrong, not through grand gestures, but through daily choice to see him, value him, care about him. We built love through accumulated moments of choosing each other. That is Adrian's legacy, not his wealth or title, but the proof that love can grow from the most unlikely beginnings. That selfish motives can transform into selfless devotion, that two broken people can heal each other if they are brave enough to try. I will miss him every day for the rest of my life, but I will also celebrate what we built, 40 years of partnership, love, family. That was worth everything, worth the revenge scheme that started it, worth the gradual, unexpected falling in love, worth all of it. After the funeral, Penelope struggled. 40 years of marriage meant 40 years of building a life together. Now that life was half empty, Victoria stayed with her mother for several weeks. "Mama, how do you survive this? Losing someone you loved for 40 years? I do not know yet. Your father asked me to keep living fully. But Victoria, I do not remember how to live without him. Everything we did together. Now I am alone, and I do not know who I am without him." You are the woman who survived being jilted and turned that humiliation into triumph, who married a duke through a revenge scheme and turned that into genuine love, who raised 4 children and managed one of England's greatest estates. That is who you are, Mama. Papa's death does not change that. Slowly, Penelope learned to live in Adrian's absence. She continued managing the estate, now with James's help, as he had taken over most responsibilities. She spent time with her grandchildren, teaching them about family history and the importance of choosing partners who valued them. One afternoon, 5 years after Adrian's death, Penelope received an unexpected visitor, Caroline Hartley, now elderly and frail. "Your Grace, thank you for seeing me. I know this is unusual. Lady Hartley, what brings you here after all these years?" "I am dying. Cancer. The physicians give me months. Before I die, I wanted to speak with you. To say things I should have said decades ago." "What things?" "That I am sorry. Edmund and I destroyed your first engagement, humiliated you publicly, took pleasure in your pain. That was unforgivable. But Your Grace, watching your life, the love you found, the family you built, taught me something important. That genuine worth cannot be destroyed by others' cruelty. You proved that by thriving despite everything Edmund and I did. Thank you for the apology. I forgave you both years ago. Carrying resentment was exhausting. I also wanted you to know Edmund's dying words were about you. He said, 'I destroyed the best thing that ever happened to me. Penelope was remarkable, and I was too stupid to see it.' He carried that regret to his grave. That is sad. But Lady Hartley, his regret is not my concern. I built a beautiful life. He built a regretful one. Those were our respective choices. You are kinder than I deserve. Your Grace, Penelope, I hope you know that your story has inspired many women. Women who were jilted, humiliated, dismissed. You showed them that those experiences do not define their worth. That is a powerful legacy." After Caroline left, Penelope reflected on how far she had come, from jilted spinster to beloved duchess, from humiliated to triumphant, from broken to whole. 10 years after Adrian's death, Penelope was 76, still managing the estate with James's assistance. She was surrounded by grandchildren and great-grandchildren, a family that existed because she had agreed to a revenge scheme 45 years earlier. One evening, Victoria asked, "Mama, do you regret anything about your life?" "Only that your father and I did not have more time together. 40 years seemed like forever when we were young. Now it seems too short. But Victoria, I regret nothing about our beginning. Yes, it started as revenge. Yes, our motives were selfish. But we built something real from that flawed foundation. That matters more than how we started." "What would you tell your younger self, the woman who was jilted and humiliated?" Penelope thought carefully. "I would tell her that Edmund's betrayal was the best thing that ever happened to her, that the humiliation she endured was temporary, but the strength she gained was permanent, that in 5 years she would marry a duke, in 10 years she would be deliriously happy. In 40 years, she would have loved and been loved more than she ever thought possible. I would tell her to hold on because the revenge scheme she was planning would lead to everything she never knew she wanted." "That is beautiful, Mama. It is true. Your father and I should never have worked. A revenge scheme is not a solid foundation for marriage, but somehow we took that flawed beginning and built something extraordinary. That is our legacy. Not that we started perfectly, but that we built perfectly despite our imperfect start." Penelope lived another 4 years, dying peacefully at 80, surrounded by the family she had built with Adrian. At her funeral, James gave the eulogy. "My mother was jilted by Lord Edmund Hartley 49 years ago. That betrayal could have destroyed her. Instead, it led her to my father. They began their marriage as a revenge scheme. My mother wanted to humiliate her former fiancé. My father wanted a convenient wife. Neither expected love, but they found it anyway. Not immediately, not easily. They built love through daily choice to see each other, value each other, care about each other. They proved that love can grow from the most unlikely beginnings. My mother taught us many things. That betrayal does not define your worth. That humiliation is temporary, but strength is permanent. That revenge schemes can accidentally lead to genuine love if you are open to possibilities. Most importantly, she taught us that the best response to cruelty is not bitterness, but building something beautiful. Lord Hartley tried to destroy her. Instead, his cruelty led her to a life more extraordinary than anything she would have had with him. That is true victory. Not making your enemies suffer, but building joy they cannot touch. Mama, you were jilted and humiliated, but you turned that pain into purpose. You built a family, a legacy, a life of genuine love. That is remarkable. Thank you for showing us that our worst moments can lead to our best lives if we are brave enough to keep trying. 50 years after Edmund broke their engagement, Penelope's great-granddaughter, also named Penelope, gave a speech at a women's empowerment conference. My great-grandmother was jilted 2 weeks before her wedding. The man who broke their engagement told everyone she was unmarriageable, damaged goods, someone he had narrowly escaped. For 3 years, he mocked her publicly at every social event. Society expected her to retreat in shame, to accept her status as a pitied spinster, to be grateful for any attention she received. Instead, she married a duke, the wealthiest, most sought-after bachelor in England, the man who never courted, never married, never fell in love, until he met my great-grandmother. Their marriage began as a revenge scheme. She wanted to humiliate her former fiancé. He wanted a convenient wife who would not expect emotional attachment. Neither wanted love, but they found it anyway. They fell in love gradually, unexpectedly, despite their best efforts to maintain emotional distance. They spent 40 years building a marriage based on genuine partnership, respect, and daily choice to keep choosing each other. My great-grandmother's story teaches us something important. Our worth is not determined by those who reject us. The man who jilted her thought he was destroying her prospects. Instead, his betrayal led her to something far better than what she lost. That is the lesson I want you to take from her story. When someone betrays you, rejects you, tells you that you are not enough, they are wrong. Your worth is not determined by their limited vision. You are valuable regardless of who fails to see that value. My great-grandmother could have spent her life bitter about Edmund Hartley's betrayal. Instead, she built something beautiful. She found genuine love. She raised a family. She managed one of England's greatest estates. She proved that betrayal is not the end of your story. It is sometimes the beginning of something better. So when you face rejection, when someone tells you that you are not enough, remember my great-grandmother. Remember that the people who reject you are often doing you a favor. They are clearing the path for something better, someone better, a life better than what they could have given you. Do not let betrayal make you bitter. Let it make you better. Let it lead you to people and opportunities that see your actual worth. That is how you win, not by destroying those who hurt you, but by building joy they cannot touch. Still single, Edmund Hartley mocked for 3 years. My great-grandmother's response was to marry a duke who loved her more than Edmund ever could have. That is how you respond to cruelty, with a life so extraordinary that their mockery becomes irrelevant. Build that life. Find that love. Prove that your worth was never determined by those who failed to see it. That is my great-grandmother's legacy. That is what she would want all of us to remember. The speech went viral. Women across the world found inspiration in Penelope's story. The jilted woman who turned humiliation into triumph, who built love from a revenge scheme, who proved that your worst moments can lead to your best life. The Ashford family established a foundation in Penelope's name, helping women who had experienced betrayal or rejection to rebuild their lives with dignity and purpose. The foundation's motto, taken from Penelope's own words, was simple: build joy they cannot touch. 100 years after Edmund broke their engagement, Penelope and Adrian's story endured, not as a fairy tale, but as something more powerful, proof that love could grow from flawed beginnings, that revenge schemes could accidentally lead to genuine happiness, that the people who rejected you were often clearing the path for something better. The lesson was taught in schools, shared in books, discussed in therapy sessions. It became shorthand for a particular kind of resilience. Remember Penelope Ashford. She turned being jilted into marrying a duke. She turned a revenge scheme into 40 years of genuine love. She proved that betrayal is sometimes the best thing that can happen to you. The story was romanticized over time, the details smoothed, the complexity simplified. But at its core remained the truth. Two people entered a marriage with selfish motives and built something selfless. They proved that intentions matter less than outcomes, that how you start matters less than how you continue. And always the question remained, still single? Not as mockery, but as reminder. Because Penelope's response to that question, revealing the enormous sapphire engagement ring from the most coveted duke in England, became legendary proof that the best revenge is a life so extraordinary that your enemy's mockery becomes pathetic by comparison. That was Penelope Ashford's legacy. Not that she was jilted, but that she thrived. Not that she sought revenge, but that she found love. Not that she started with selfish motives, but that she built selfless devotion. She was jilted. She was mocked. She was humiliated. And she responded by building a life so full of love, purpose, and joy that her betrayer spent the rest of his existence regretting what he had destroyed. That was true victory. That was genuine triumph. That was how you responded to still single, with a life that made the question laughable. 200 years after Penelope's death, a historian researching the Ashford family archives discovered something remarkable. Letters between Penelope and Adrian chronicling their marriage from the beginning. The letters revealed a more complex story than the simplified legend. The early letters were formal, practical, two people conducting a business arrangement. But gradually, the tone shifted. Affection crept in, then warmth, then unmistakable love. One letter particularly moved the historian, written by Adrian 5 years into their marriage. My dearest Penelope, 5 years ago I proposed a revenge scheme. I offered you a practical marriage, position without passion, security without sentiment. You accepted because you wanted to make Lord Hartley regret his choices. We were both selfish, both using each other for our own purposes. Our marriage should have remained that, a cold arrangement between two people pursuing individual goals. But something unexpected happened. I fell in love with you. Not dramatically, not all at once. Gradually, through accumulated moments of discovering who you actually are. You are brilliant. You are kind. You challenge me intellectually while supporting me emotionally. You make me laugh. You make me think. You make me want to be better than I am. I thought I was incapable of love. Victoria's death convinced me my heart was broken beyond repair. You proved me wrong. You did not fix my broken heart. You gave me a new one that beats for you alone. I know our beginning was flawed. We married for revenge, not romance. But Penelope, what we have built is real. This love is genuine. You are the best thing that ever happened to me, and I thank Providence daily that Lord Hartley was stupid enough to let you go. I love you. Completely, deeply, permanently. Thank you for agreeing to that ridiculous revenge scheme. It led me to you. Forever yours, Adrian. Penelope's response found attached. My dearest Adrian, you think our beginning was flawed. I disagree. Yes, we married for selfish reasons. Yes, revenge was my initial motivation, but that revenge led me to you. How can I regret that? Edmund destroyed my faith in love. His betrayal convinced me that romantic feeling was dangerous, that practical arrangements were safer. You proved me wrong. You showed me that love, real love, is built on daily choices, not dramatic gestures. Every morning you choose me. You listen to my opinions. You value my intelligence. You treat me as an equal partner. That is love. Not the passionate declarations Edmund made before discarding me, but consistent, reliable, genuine care. I am glad Edmund broke our engagement. I am glad I endured 3 years of humiliation, because that pain led me to you. And Adrian, you are worth every moment of suffering that came before. Our revenge scheme was the best decision I ever made, not because it humiliated Edmund, though it did satisfyingly, but because it led me to genuine happiness, to partnership, to love I never thought I deserved. I love you, not practically, not conveniently, genuinely, deeply, with my whole heart. Thank you for seeing me when I felt invisible. Thank you for building this extraordinary life with me. Forever yours, Penelope. The historian published these letters in a book titled The Revenge That Became Romance, the true story of Penelope and Adrian Ashford. The book became a bestseller, reintroducing their story to a new generation. But the letters also sparked debate. Some readers felt the story was less romantic, knowing it began as a revenge scheme. Others argued it was more romantic, that building genuine love from selfish beginnings proved the depth of their eventual connection. One reviewer wrote, "The Ashford story challenges our romantic assumptions. We want to believe love is pure from the beginning. Penelope and Adrian prove that love can grow from impure motivations. Their initial selfishness makes their eventual selflessness more impressive, not less." Another perspective, this story is important because it shows that motives matter less than outcomes. Yes, they married for revenge, but they built genuine partnership. They spent 40 years loving each other authentically. How they started matters less than what they created. The debate continued for years, but at its core, everyone agreed. Penelope and Adrian Ashford proved that love could transcend its origins, that flawed beginnings could lead to beautiful outcomes, that the best revenge was not making your enemies suffer, but building joy they could never touch. And always, the legend endured. "Still single?" Edmund Hartley mocked. Penelope's response, the enormous sapphire ring, the announcement of her engagement to England's most coveted duke, became cultural shorthand for the ultimate comeback. Young women facing rejection would remind themselves, "Remember Penelope Ashford. She was jilted and turned it into triumph. Her betrayer's mockery became pathetic compared to the life she built." That was the lasting power of Penelope's story. Not that she was perfect, but that she was resilient. Not that she never made mistakes. Marrying for revenge was arguably a mistake, but that she transformed mistakes into meaning. Not that she started with pure motives, but that she built pure love despite impure beginnings. She was jilted. She sought revenge. She married a duke to humiliate her former fiancé. And accidentally, unexpectedly, she found genuine love, built a family, created a legacy that endured centuries after her death. That was Penelope Ashford. Not a saint, not a perfect heroine. Just a woman who refused to let betrayal define her, who turned humiliation into triumph, who proved that your worst moments can lead to your best life if you are brave enough to keep trying. Still single? Yes. And then no. And then married to a duke who loved her more than her betrayer ever could have, and then building 40 years of extraordinary happiness, and then leaving a legacy that inspired millions. That was the answer to Edmund Hartley's mockery. Not words, but a life. A life so full of love and purpose that his cruelty became irrelevant. A life that proved beyond doubt that he had made the catastrophic mistake, not her. That was the ultimate revenge, and the ultimate love story, and proof that sometimes the two are the same. 300 years after Penelope's death, the Ashford estate remained in family hands. The current Duke of Ashford was a direct descendant of Penelope and Adrian, and he took seriously the responsibility of maintaining their legacy. The estate housed a museum dedicated to their story. Visitors could see the original engagement announcement, the sapphire ring, letters chronicling their marriage, even the dress Penelope wore to that fateful ball where Adrian announced their engagement. But the most visited exhibit was simpler, a recreation of that moment. A ballroom scene with two figures, Penelope in emerald silk, Adrian by her side, both looking at where Edmund Hartley would have stood. The placard read, "Still single," Lord Edmund Hartley mocked. This was Penelope Ashford's response. Not words, but a life so extraordinary that mockery became pathetic by comparison. Visitors stood before that exhibit and absorbed the lesson. That betrayal did not have to destroy you. That humiliation could become triumph. That the best revenge was not making your enemies suffer, but building joy they could never touch. One visitor, a young woman recently divorced, struggling with feelings of failure and worthlessness, stood before the exhibit crying. A museum guide approached her. "Are you all right?" "I am fine, just emotional. My husband left me 6 months ago, told me I was not enough. For 6 months I have believed him, but standing here reading Penelope's story, I realize he was wrong. His failure to value me does not determine my worth." Exactly. That is what Penelope would want you to understand. The man who jilted her thought he was destroying her prospects. Instead, his betrayal led her to something far better. Your ex-husband's departure might be leading you to something better too. The young woman wiped her tears. "I am going to remember this. When I doubt myself, when I feel worthless, I am going to remember Penelope Ashford. She was jilted, mocked, humiliated, and she responded by building a life so full of love that her betrayer spent his existence regretting what he destroyed. That conversation happened thousands of times. The Ashford Museum became a pilgrimage site for women recovering from betrayal. They came seeking inspiration, hope, proof that heartbreak was not the end of their story. And they found it. In the letters chronicling a marriage built from a revenge scheme, in the portrait of Adrian and Penelope painted 20 years into their marriage, both looking at each other with unmistakable love, in the testimony of descendants who spoke about the family legacy of resilience, love, and refusing to let cruelty define you. The current Duke of Ashford gave regular talks about his ancestors. His favorite topic, what Penelope and Adrian teach us about love. People assume their story is about revenge, he would say, that the lesson is about humiliating those who hurt you, but that misses the point entirely. The revenge was satisfied within months. They lived together for 40 years. Clearly, revenge was not what sustained their marriage. What sustained them was the choice to build something real from flawed beginnings. They started selfishly, but grew into selflessness. They began practically, but evolved into genuine passion. They proved that your starting point matters less than your destination. That is my ancestors' legacy. Not that revenge led to romance, though it did, but that people can transcend their worst impulses. That flawed motives can lead to beautiful outcomes. That love can grow in the most unlikely soil if both people commit to tending it. So when you visit this museum, do not just see a revenge story. See a love story. See two people who should never have worked but somehow did. See proof that your worst beginning does not determine your ending. See hope that transformation is possible if you are brave enough to try. On the 300th anniversary of Penelope and Adrian's marriage, the museum hosted a massive celebration. Descendants gathered from around the world, hundreds of people who existed because two people agreed to a revenge scheme 3 centuries earlier. The current Duke unveiled a new exhibit, a video installation featuring modern women telling their own stories of betrayal and recovery. Each story echoed Penelope's, being undervalued, being dismissed, being told they were not enough. And each woman described how Penelope's example gave them strength to build joy despite pain. One woman said, "My fiancé left me for someone wealthier. For 2 years I felt worthless. Then I discovered Penelope's story. She was also left for someone wealthier. But she did not let that define her worth. She built an extraordinary life. If she could do it, so could I." Another, "I was told I was unmarriageable because I was too intelligent, too opinionated, too difficult." Penelope was told the same things. She found someone who valued those qualities. That gave me hope that I could too. A third, "Penelope's story taught me that the best revenge is not making your enemies suffer. It is building a life so full of joy that their cruelty becomes irrelevant." That changed everything for me. The exhibit ended with Penelope's own words, taken from a letter written late in her life. "People ask if I regret the revenge scheme, if I am ashamed that my marriage began with such selfish motives. I am not, because that revenge scheme led me to 40 years of genuine love. That selfish beginning led to selfless devotion. Edmund's betrayal was the best thing that ever happened to me. His cruelty cleared the path for genuine happiness. His rejection led me to someone who valued me properly. So no, I do not regret the revenge. I do not regret the flawed beginning. I do not regret any of it. Because all of it, the betrayal, the humiliation, the revenge, the gradual falling in love, led me to a life beyond anything I imagined possible. That is what I want people to remember. Not that I was jilted, but that I thrived. Not that I sought revenge, but that I found love. Not that I started imperfectly, but that I built beautifully despite imperfection. "Still single?" Edmund asked, mocking me. My answer was not words. It was a life so full of love, purpose, and joy that his mockery became laughable. A life that proved his betrayal was his catastrophic mistake, not mine. That is the lesson. Build that life. Find that love. Prove that your worth was never determined by those who failed to see it. That is the best revenge and the best life. 300 years later, those words still resonated, still inspired, still proved that the best response to "still single" was not anger or bitterness, but a life so extraordinary that the question became irrelevant. Penelope Ashford was jilted, mocked, humiliated, And she responded by building a legacy that lasted centuries, by proving that betrayal could become triumph, by showing millions of people that their worst moments could lead to their best lives. That was her final gift. Not the revenge that started everything, but the love that sustained everything. Not the flawed beginning, but the beautiful continuation. Not the mockery she endured, but the joy she built despite it. Still single? Yes. Then no. Then triumphantly married. Then 40 years of love. Then centuries of legacy. Then proof eternal that the best revenge is a life they can never touch.